So you had one go. Did you have any damage to the south? You had one go that way and one go that way, didn't you?
Yeah, he had them all over the place.
That's sort of the way it was. Wait, look at them big old goose out there.
Geese.
I had them. Everyone that came by you came by me. Every one of them. Or not every one.
Impossible.
Yeah, you're too far north. Them was going yonder way.
All right, well.
You was on a different track.
Yeah.
You might have been
Don't put
catching
me.
them. You might have been catching them. Was coming by me.
Don't put me in the same
Man.
as Pontotoc County.
You don't want to be associated with that. That's fair.
Everything I got, every bad thing I got came from Calhoun County first.
Calhoun County first?
Yeah.
Dang, I had a problem
We sent the evil.
Bugs.
for today
We sent the evil up here.
that's in my truck that I don't. It's okay. It was something stupid that y'all were going to make fun of me for anyway.
That's probably best you keep it.
Well, what it was is that Delta State sent me a invitation to the Inspirational Leaders of America Club.
Hey.
And you think that they sent that to everybody,
Yeah.
all right? But my wife was the president of FIMU
It didn't get one.
at Delta State. Is Delta State a fanatic? Didn't get one, and she is butthurt.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law in FIMU, Delta State, loves Delta State. Did not get one. Butthurt. But I did. You know what I think it is? They seen the podcast.
I doubt it, but
They seen the podcast.
they could have.
And they said, hey, that guy was a fighting okra.
I had a fella down there. He stopped me in Pops the other day, and I thought he recognized me from the podcast, but I don't think he did.
Hey, I
He'd
did
probably
have,
just seen you with Case before, and he was excited thinking Case was
He
coming in
looked
about
at
some
me. He
chicken.
looked at me, and I was almost like, yeah, that's me.
I'm him.
You are
I am
correct,
him.
sir. I have arrived.
Oh, God.
I did have somebody at the gas station clerk the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Said, you're the guy on TikTok. I was like, yeah. I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, that's me. I'm that skunk.
We are live.
A breaker 19 for that Brockway 18-wheeler. Come on, good buddy.
Did I catch a niner in there where you're calling from a walkie-talkie?
Imagine if we had these when we were 12? Even better. We got them when we're 40.
Come ahead on, bandit. We'll slip you into the rocking chair. Play a little hide and seek. The welcome mat is out and you're coming home.
All night at the end of the day.
Man, that gets me every time.
Yeah. Music.
It's been a while. Are we live? Are we shooting?
We are live.
We filming.
You know what?
Okay.
Let me make sure.
Yeah, make sure all the buttons are mashed. So it has been a while. What, February was looking a while ago? February the 15th-ish was our last time we'd been in here.
Has
So what, a little over a month.
Yeah, we've had the Mid-South Ag Fair, which went well, I think. What do y'all think? I thought it went well.
Have they changed it? Is it not the Farm and Gin show anymore?
No, I think it's still Mid-South Farm and Gin Show. I think it's.
Oh, I said Mid-South Ag.
I think it's still Mid-South Farm and Gin Show.
I didn't know.
We actually participated. I didn't go to one, but John Paul did. Tunica Ag Expo.
Mm-hmm.
We were at that one. So,
Yeah.
and then was the Mid-South Farm and Gin Show the 28th and the 1st. So, anybody that came by and seen us, appreciate y'all stopping by.
Absolutely. And we also have launched the new John Deere equipment, which is in the field. It has been in the field.
Some of it has been.
And a bunch of it's going out in the field tomorrow, right?
If this wind doesn't, if it'll not do what it's doing today, yes.
Any other news that I didn't touch on from the past month?
Not really. Just been raining and tornadoes and
Yeah. If you were anybody affected by the tornadoes, thoughts and prayers are with you. It tore up pretty much from north part of the state to the south part of the state. I mean, I think
Elliott, Mississippi, kind of Elliott and
Tylertown,
Tylertown
way
got,
down south.
I think got hit the hit the worst. Tylertown, definitely the worst.
And the one that hit, right out or Gore Springs and stuff.
Yeah,
That
which is Elliott, kind of.
Yeah, Elliott, yeah.
Elliott, Gore Springs.
That one was bad for a minute.
Yeah.
Every time that one would touch the ground, it would touch the ground in between each town, luckily. And every time it would get to the level of, they would say, if you're not underground and this hits you, you may not live.
Was that Friday night?
Yes,
See,
that was
I
the
think
one
that's
Friday
that's the same cell that came.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one that
bad.
came right over. Right over
Yeah.
the top of the house.
Yeah. that
Luckily,
one-
it was up in the clouds then.
It lifted back up. I was watching live storm chasers in Houston.
Oh, Case was too, and he said one of them said that this is Case doesn't. If you know Case, he's very laid back and he don't get,
Right,
too excited. But he came in there and basically said that one of them said this is fixing to be another rolling fort.
Yes.
And
It
so
was
Case
bad.
ended up him and Steele in the floor and the.
Every time that one touched the ground, it got big and it got big. I mean, I've got a picture of it on my phone. I'll show y'all, but and I'll put it up on the screen. But it got huge every time it touched the ground.
Yeah.
It just so happened.
Didn't one of the storm chasers out in Texas, one of those vehicles, didn't it get picked up? And
I
the
think
people-
so. I think I've seen that.
Seemed like I seen videos of it. Twist X or something.
Something I
I think it was one of them
from
low. But
one
they
of
said
them.
it was like a Chevrolet Cruze, maybe, or something.
Cruise.
Maybe that's right.
I
I
don't.
don't think it was like a truck.
I heard one storm chaser talking about it when I was watching that the other night. But it is crazy that now that you can get on YouTube and watch literally live storm chasers in your town. And I watched the Ryan Hall guy. He's pretty legit.
I didn't put my helmet on like Laban said to do. I stood out on the porch and
You
tried
didn't
to
put
see
your-
if I could see it.
John Paul texted me, I don't know, was it 1:30? So
Yeah.
you watching the weather? I said, yeah. He said, looks like it's coming right at you. I said, no, it's just south of me. And he said, it looks like it's coming right at you. I said, no, I think it's north of me. And he just sent me back a laughy thing. I was like, I don't know.
Oh, I was freaking out. I was texting him.
I mean, I'm not sitting here saying wouldn't be scared of a tornado if it come across, but there's ultimately nothing I can do about it. I mean,
It freaks me out. I ain't gonna lie, because I've had 3 hit my house before, or like in my yard. And I mean, I remember one time my daddy was trying to close the door, and he like threw me into the hallway, and then the back door flew open, and he was trying to like, and I'll never forget this image. He was doing everything he could to close the door, and as he's closing the door, you can see the back porch lifting up off the ground.
Is that the big one that hit Pontotoc?
No, that wasn't
Wow.
the big one. This one was like 2008 or 9, somewhere around there.
closest I ever got to one, we went, and that's back before, social media and people tracking them and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just basically you had Dick Rice on Channel 9, and if it happened, I don't ever remember them breaking into coverage. Maybe they did.
They did.
But anyway.
They'd break in the middle of Days of Our Lives.
But anyway, me and my brother, we was over hunting over in Webster County, sort of close to Monte Vista over there. And we was in climbing stands, and man, we didn't know no storm was coming through there.
Oh, jeez.
And man, that tree, I done climbed up, I don't know, 15, 20 foot or whatever it was in a climbing stand. And that tree got to going back and forth. I'm talking about the wind's cutting up pretty good. Ended up being a tornado just right down the road from us. And so anyway, I didn't see it, but we seen the damage the next day when we went through there and realized how close we were to it. So yeah, that's close as I've ever been to one.
I freak out pretty good. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's the one thing. Them and needles are my.
Oh yeah, we don't want to get on the subject of needles. I'm 40, 48. I still hate them. I cannot look at them.
And it never hurts as bad as I think it's gonna hurt. Like I think I'm finna die right before they put it in my arm, and as soon as it's in there, man, it's like this don't feel that bad.
Yeah.
And,
when I was younger, I don't know, that's probably Mary Carter's age. How old's Mary Carter now?
8.
Probably 8, 9, 10 years old. I was young enough anyway. Mom would carry me to the doctor, Dr. Hamlin. He's passed away now, but anyway. I don't forget what I had, but I had something that they deemed needed a shot for. And you know how they had those big old medical metal tables? I mean, they're pretty heavy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, they were
Stainless
always
steel.
diagonal, you know, in that room, and there was a corner behind them. I seen that door open. They done went out, you know, done made their little diagnosis and done went and done what they was gonna do. And as soon as that door opened, I seen that shot needle. Craig said, "Nope, not today." I jumped up off that table, went in that corner, and pulled that big metal chair up in that corner. They wasn't getting me, not today. I think they ended up getting me, but
Yeah.
it was resistance.
The last time I got, well, it wasn't the last time, because when I had that tooth taken out not too long ago, they gave me, I mean, they put a huge out. Man, I was freaking out in front of that nurse or whatever. But anyway, the time before that, it was a rocephalin shot.
Man, the shot ain't as bad as that
Yes,
stuff
what
burns.
Well, it feels like they putting a bowling ball in your butt. I mean, literally. So I said, "Is this gonna hurt?" And she said, "No." And I said, all right, you know, and I'm freaking out. And she said, "Drop your pants, you know, a little bit." And so I'm like, "Actually, maybe she just wants to look at it. I don't know."
No.
And then so she puts that thing. There's 3 levels of pain. There's cussing, there's crying, and then there's laughing. If you're laughing because it hurts so bad,
No. I mean, stuck a bowling ball in
it
my
felt
butt.
like they
probably hurt
injected
too.
a bowling ball in my right cheek,
Okay.
and it stayed there for a minute. And I was just walking around that doctor's office laughing because it was hurting so. I mean, it was bad. Anyway,
I've gotten better as I've gotten older, but it's still one of my legit fears in
man.
life. I hate a needle.
I can't. I mean,
I just don't like the
literally-
idea of something puncturing my skin. And that and a wasp,
I don't want to get stoned.
devil's insects,
I don't
straight
wanna-
from hell.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing, the anesthesia. It
I don't know
always.
if I've ever been knocked out before with anesthesia.
So it's the needle plus. They're finna turn the brain off.
This is going to be a controversial statement, but I like anesthesia. I'm going to be honest.
I don't know.
I mean, just to get away for a little bit. You know, I wouldn't mind having surgery tomorrow just to get away for a few hours. I mean, it takes some stress
Well, you
off
don't
a little
remember
bit.
it. You can't even dream when you have.
I know.
I want to know how they do that, though. So, literally, when you go under anesthesia, they turn all electrical signals to
Yeah.
your nervous system off.
Yep.
Like, you do not dream. You have no concept of time. It feels like when you went under, when you woke up, it was like,
Oh, when I was under, when they took my kidney out, I was under it was 6.5, 7 hours. I wasn't supposed to be under for that long, but something went wrong and they ended up having to take my whole kidney. But yeah, I mean, it's like you go out and you
wake
wake
right
up.
back
I mean,
up.
there's no,
There's no lapse
your
of
body
time.
don't know. I wonder if this is how it's like in a coma too.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Like you just
Wake up and
wake
know
up
what
10
you're
years
doing.
later like some of them have done.
Oh, all right. This is a good one. So this is a true story. There's this guy, and we'll just call him Cal. I don't know, but he was in college, right? And he's walking to class, whatever, gets in a fight with a male cheerleader. All right. Well, let me back up. Meets this girl. I just ruined the whole story. Meets this girl at college, right? And it's like, this is the one, I'm gonna marry her. Okay, so they get married. He goes on, becomes a successful IT guy, has an amazing job, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, lives in a super nice house, been married 10 years, has 3 kids. All right, 2 little girls and a boy, I think is what it was. One day, he goes into his living room, sits down, and he looks at the lamp in the corner of his living room, and it's blurry. And he wipes his eyes or whatever and tries to figure out, why is this light blurry? Am something wrong? And he can't figure it. And the more he wipes his eyes, the blurrier it gets. And so he's like starting to freak out, think that he's having a stroke, thinks something's medically wrong, tries to call his wife. She can't get on the phone, can't get her on the phone. Well, so he gets on the internet, WebMD, starts freaking out even more, but he can't stop staring at this light. Well, his wife comes home, right? And she's like, what's wrong with you? You know, why are you staring at this light? Because it's very out of character for him to do this, right? Because he's like this super nice, like outgoing dude, you know, great father, great husband. But he's not even talking to her. He's just staring at this light. Well, this goes on for like a week. He ain't been at work. Didn't go, I mean, just sat there and stared at this light. This is wild, all right? Well,
this is a true story?
This is a true story. By the end of this week, his wife is like super concerned, obviously, because he hasn't moved from the couch, hasn't bathed, he hasn't done anything, hasn't ate. And so she starts calling doctors, and doctors are like, he needs to come to the emergency room immediately, you know, This goes on for 2 weeks. Well, one day, and every day he said the light would get, you know, that lamp would get brighter and blurrier and brighter and blurrier and brighter and blurrier, and he just couldn't take his eyes off of it. And after 2 weeks, he said all of a sudden the lamp went out, and all the lights in his house went out, and he woke up in the hospital. Okay? Or no, excuse me. He woke up in the back of a campus police car's vehicle. All right? And he gets up, and he's freaking out, and he's like, where am I at? Where am I at? You know, where's my wife and kids? And, you know, the campus police is like, you're married? And he's like, yeah. And, you know, well, let me get your wife on the phone. And he's like, what's happening? What's going on? Well, sir, you've been in a fight. You got in a fight with a male cheerleader, and he knocked you out, and your head hit the concrete. And he's like, okay. He said, well, how did I get here? He said, what do you mean, sir? You go to school here. Is your name such and such, such? He said, yeah. He said, well, you go to school here. You were on the way to class. He's like, what are you talking about? And then so he starts to put things together, and he's like, what year is this? And he told him like 1984 or something like that. And he was like, there's no way. He's like, I've got a wife. I've got these 3 kids. What are you talking about? And he was like, well, sir, if you've got a wife, if you'll give me her phone number, I'll call it. Well, he gives her the phone number, and it goes to a number that doesn't even exist. And so, it's, you know, because it's 1984. And turns out he was knocked out, lived this whole life while he was knocked out that was so real to him that to this day he grieves his children
That he had in the...
that in his mind he had for 10 years, or, you know, however old they were. I mean, I forgot, I think one was like 8, one was like 5, one was like 6. And so he like legitimately grieved the loss of his family still to this day, because that 10 years was real to him.
And like at the end of most of your stories, I don't really know what to say. That's pretty crazy.
That's wild, ain't it?
It is wild.
I mean, could you imagine?
I do that sometimes. If we've had a long day and we've got a bunch to do this coming day, I wake up and just sort of hope it's a dream some days. Like
when you were in a Shibuya that night?
Yeah. I woke up thinking, man, this can't be real.
You said that a minute ago or whatever, and I thought about that, and I was like, I got to say that. But that would suck. That would literally, I mean, that dude... to this day believes that was real, even though he knows it's not.
I saw a video of a guy in the hospital, and he wakes up, and his friends are around him, and he's like, "Man, what happened?" And they said, "Man, you were drunk and had a wreck, and." It's like 10 years later.
What?
And he's like, what?
That was old Tom May.
It was.
And it was real?
It was a joke.
He really got drunk and passed out.
Yeah,
while he was passed out,
they
dressed him up in a hospital bed, and like he had this wreck and was in a coma, just trying to scare him.
But he had like 4 or 5 DUIs, so they were trying to like.
Is this
but he thought he'd been in a coma for 10 years.
This is somebody y'all know?
No,
it was just on a video.
It was a video. Tom May was like a comedian, I think in Kentucky maybe.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But anyway, he put the whole deal on. He like Jump Off City had like 4 or 5 DUIs, and
it was bad.
He'd passed out or whatever, and they dressed him up. They had the little oxygen thing all around him. I guess he took all of his clothes off. He's laying in the bed.
Tom started beating him. Started hitting him, telling him you've had 4 or 5 DUIs. He was trying to basically like an intervention
some sense into him. But
that's a pretty funny joke.
You can edit any of this out.
No, no.
I just thought of that.
It does actually play perfect into the first topic that I had for y'all today. Have y'all ever, I think I asked y'all both this earlier, but I'm going to ask you again. Have y'all ever heard of the Mandela effect?
The what?
I have. When you asked me that earlier before we got here, I have heard that term, but I don't know what it is.
All right, so it's called the Mandela effect. Have you ever
You're
heard
talking
of
about Nelson.
John Paul?
Nelson Mandela?
Yeah, Nelson Mandela. But have you heard of why you know,
I've heard of the Mendoza line. That's like in baseball where you hit below.
Yeah.
No, I have no
Well, I think
idea.
it's 200, isn't it? It's 200
yes,
the
it's
Mendoza
200.
line.
But Nelson Mandela, this is where it was created off of. So a lot of people believe this whole theory got started. All right, let me ask y'all this. When did Nelson Mandela die, and how did he die?
I'll be honest, I didn't know he was dead.
He died in 2021 in a hospital bed in Rwanda.
Well, the Rwanda part may not be too far off, but the rest of it...
I have no idea.
So, all right, so this is where it comes from. So a lot of people in the world believe and remember watching funeral footage of Nelson Mandela when he died in 1980, or in the 1980s, right? So,
Yeah.
like, there's this, like, most people who were alive then, like, the majority of people believe that Nelson Mandela died in the 1980s. They remember watching funeral footage. They remember the news stories covering it and all that. Well, the reality is, supposedly, on the internet, that that's not true, and that Nelson Mandela went on to be the president of South Africa and died in 2013. And did not die in prison, right? But everybody remembers Nelson Mandela dying in prison, and they remember his funeral. And so from all this spawned what's now called the Mandela effect. And now there's a bunch of them. And now the theory is that scientists say that this is a collective hive mind thing that people do, that they create something in their head collectively that they wanted it to say or they wanted to be true that actually didn't happen. Whereas, yeah.
Is there not footage? I mean...
Oh, it gets wild. So what now, and then, you know, the people who push back against that, who say, no, I remember this way, they say that it's possible of one of two things. Either the government is doing a psyop and changing things and trying to see if you remember it or not, or if they can make you remember it differently. And then the other theory is the parallel dimensions, right? Like, you know, somehow we...
Like the Matrix.
Yeah, we've jumped timelines. So here are some examples of the Mandela effect. And some of these I'm going to tell you...
I'm moving up. I'm sitting back for this.
They are going to piss you off because I have gotten so mad at these. Like,
Hey,
before
before you start, I really hope that Pete Rose is still alive out there somewhere, and we can get him into the Hall of Fame before he dies.
Free
Pete
deserves
Rose.
it. I agree. He
Amen.
deserves it.
That's right. Oh, I agree with you. So here's Pete Rose is not on here, though.
And Tupac.
But
Tupac's alive, man.
I guarantee you.
the first one that I have is the Berenstain Bears. Have y'all ever heard of the Berenstain
Yeah.
Bears? Okay, how do you spell Berenstain?
I would say Berenstein.
Close.
Berenstain.
But tell me if y'all are saying it correctly. So y'all agree that it is pronounced Berenstain.
Something to that effect.
Okay. The internet and reality supposedly is that it was never called Berenstain. It's Berenstain. And it was spelled, and I remember this vividly because I have books that say this, that it's spelled Berenstain. But no, Stein. They say no, it's Berenstain, Stain. And people all over the internet are like, no, it's Berenstain Bears. And the people who wrote the Berenstain Bears say, no, it's Berenstain. And then people have come out with books saying, here's the proof. And they're like, that's not real. You're faking it.
What
I don't
blows my mind more than anything
Now-
is there's a group of people out there that are debating that.
Well, it gets even deeper, right? So the next one, did the Monopoly man have a monocle on his eye?
In pictures, he did.
Yes.
Pretty
No,
sure.
never happened.
Ever
Yes, he did. I don't give a crap.
I agree with you,
I
and everybody else
happened?
agrees
I'm pretty
with
sure
you.
on my Monopoly board.
Look it up right now, and it'll
Well,
tell
I ain't
you.
looking on the internet.
Yeah, well, the
I just
internet.
ain't Google. I mean,
The
I ain't looking at
internet will
Google.
tell you that, and the people who created the board game will tell you that he never had a monocle on his eye. That's incorrect. He definitely had a monocle on his eye. The next one, Star Wars. Darth Vader says to Luke, what?
I've never watched Star Wars.
All right, but you'll remember this line, Luke,
I am your father.
Never said that. People are supposedly making that up, and he actually said, no, I am your father. He never said, Luke, I am your father. He said, no, I am your father. And if you watch the new versions of Star
I told
Wars...
Bubba James that one time. Bubba, shout out to Bubba James, Columbus, Mississippi, Wade Incorporated. Me and Bubba was in the room one night staying, and he had one of those big CPAP machines on over his head. Lights out. You know, we was at a John Deere meeting. This has probably been 15 plus years ago. And Big Bubba sitting over there, just breathing.
It's actually pretty good.
So anyway, I put my hand, I said, Bubba, I am your father.
But see what you did there? You put Bubba's name there because it says, Luke, I am your father.
I can't repeat what Bubba said back, but we both laughed about it. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny at the time.
Next one. This one will piss you off. Queen's song, We Are the Champions. What does it say? It says, we are the champions.
Of the world?
My friend.
Never said of the world.
Oh, shoot.
I swear to gosh, look it up. If you play it on your phone, it will
I
not
ain't
say.
going to play it. I don't want to hear that.
It will not say of
I'll
the
play
world.
it later. Listen.
So now all the downloaded versions and everything never say of the world.
What's it say?
It just says we are the champions.
That's bullcrap.
I agree.
I mean, no.
Everybody in the world, says no. It said we are the champions
I think
of the world.
So who's this cat out here just making all this stuff up? We need to find him.
That's
Yeah.
Obama.
It's somebody.
He needs to be reprimanded, maybe with a cane.
All right, here's another one. Snow White, the witch in her mirror. She says what to the mirror?
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Who's the what?
Greatest of them all.
I can't remember.
No, she said who's the fairest of them all.
That's what
Fairest
I was
of them all,
thinking.
Yeah.
All right, but the reality is it says magic mirror on the wall, and she never says who is the fairest of them all.
It's bullcrap.
I agree.
I guess they gonna tell us the dang Tin Man wasn't real next.
Well, here you go. Jiffy peanut butter. Y'all all remember Jiffy peanut butter?
Yeah.
All right, it's never called Jiffy. It was always called Jif. J-I-F.
No.
Incorrect.
That's where, I mean, it's like.
This is infuriating. You see what I'm
no,
saying?
You're stupid. Like, I mean, I don't know if you're telling me this or if you're somebody else
I'm
is trying to
telling
tell
you,
me.
this is what they say reality is.
That's not reality.
That the internet, if you look
It
this
had
up
a
on
gosh dang Y on it.
if you look it up on the internet, it will tell you that Jiffy was never a brand of peanut butter. It was always Jif.
I'm looking it up because
I told you this will piss you off. I have looked every one of these up.
Jiffy peanut butter. Jif.
Jif. It was never called Jiffy.
That's just them. They're playing mind games.
So that's one theory, right? So they're
They're
saying
playing
that,
with my emotions.
and the theory is they're trying to see. It's kind of like MK Ultra stuff, right? They're trying to.
No,
see.
here's a Jiffy right here. Now this may be. This looks like a knockoff though.
Yeah.
Just that budget brand.
Jiffy looks.
I was thinking they had a Jiffy peanut butter, but I don't know.
It was Jiffy peanut butter. I
I'm
promise you.
finna look up Jiffy peanut butter antique. See if there's a antique Jiffy. Gosh dang! It says there is one. Guess what it is, Craig? It's
that?
Jif.
It could be.
Look.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was.
But I think they had a Jiffy brand.
It was always called Jiffy. It was never called Jif, and they changed it to Jif.
No, I remember Jif.
You remember Jif?
I remember the Jif.
I don't remember
But
Jif.
I think
remember
Jiffy. I think Jiffy was like a different brand.
Now,
Maybe Jif and Jiffy were cousins.
the next one is this.
I'm keeping my phone out because I'm finna.
All right, fact check me on
We
every
need
one
some
of them.
fact checkers in here.
Looney Tunes. How do you spell Looney Tunes?
Loney.
No, I'd say
Looney.
All right, how do you spell the tunes?
Tunes.
No, is that how you remember it though?
That
Yes.
is how I remember it.
Yes.
All right, so I remember it, and I agree with this. It used to be Wait,
You saying it didn't have an E in it?
no, it was spelled Toons, tunes, not Tunes, tunes. Now I think people try to associate it with tunes because that's how you would spell that, but everybody says on the internet that it was definitely spelled tunes with two O's and an N and an S.
Yeah, I
I
don't
can
remember.
be 50-50 on that one.
I don't remember you saying. Yeah.
Another one, Tinkerbell on the Disney thing. What does she do?
She flies around with her little one.
And what does she do at the end of it? She dots it, right?
Yeah,
She
something-
dots
she-
the I
yeah,
in
no.
Disney. Never did it.
Never did it.
Disney says she never did that. I'm telling you, before every Disney movie I've ever watched in my life, Tinkerbell has flown around and dotted the I,
She did it.
and she never did it.
Yeah, I don't care what they say. They also say that the CIA didn't kill JFK, but this week, Trump. If you read through all that, it's pretty evident.
Did it actually say it did?
It didn't. It didn't actually say it, but it's enough in there to back it up.
I definitely believe that the CIA killed JFK.
But anyway,
Hey, just one more before we get off that subject. The fish. One was talking about Jif and Jiffy, but the fish that's up in Alaska that you catch in the streams, it's called a what?
A salmon.
A what?
A salmon.
No,
a salmon.
that's what I would say.
What'd you say? Salmon.
A salmon.
Salmon.
Yeah, you say salmon?
Salmon. It's got an L in it.
Yeah.
The L is silent.
No, it's not.
No,
salmon.
I have
it
never.
Ain't no salmon.
I have never. That's some fancy people somewhere didn't like the way salmon sounded, and they changed it to salmon.
I mean, that
The
sounds
damn
like what-
thing's got an L in it. There is no such thing as a silent L.
There's
Well, there's a lot of words that have silent letters.
not
That's just
L's.
somebody they tried to fancy up a fish. Is all it. It's a
Where's
salmon.
a silent L?
Huh?
Tell me where a silent L is.
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
There's not one.
Salmon. It's not pronounced salmon.
It
It's
is.
pronounced salmon.
I've ate a bunch of salmon.
When you go to a
patties.
restaurant, they don't say you want some smoked salmon.
That's because they try to fancy it up.
They say
Salmon.
you want smoked salmon.
No, they don't say it like that. Now you sounded like you was
Now,
in
well, I got-
Louisiana.
well-
you got that
the
look
only people
salmon.
used to eat. The only people used to eat salmon was
Salmon.
old
Oh,
country
boy.
folks.
Yeah, they
Most of it come in a can.
and see, I would think country folks would say salmon before they would say salmon.
salmon.
Yeah, it does sound like something because we cut letters out of a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
in the
we
South.
try to abbreviate
But there's an
everything.
L in it. I'll die on that hill. And I don't care what y'all fancy folks. It'll always be
I ain't-
salmon.
That's
I don't care
salmon.
if you Google it. What's the pronunciation? That's just Google. trying to-
Salmon sounds like you're trying too hard to sound fancy.
That's just it's got an L in it.
He said, "Well, it's got an L in it."
There's nowhere in the world in the English language where it says, "Hey, we're gonna call this salmon, but let's throw this L in there." Why?
But there's not.
It
But
makes
there's a
no
lot of
sense.
other words that have silent. I'm trying to think of another word that has silent.
You're not gonna think of a silent L.
Oh
No.
snap! Oh, never mind. That's crows. Boy, I just don't know.
Yeah, we're right in the middle of turkey season, so if y'all will
turkey
go
season.
crazy over here, he's looking out the window. So.
But anyway,
But I'll die on that wheel. I mean, like I said,
The
they can call it what they want to, but I'm gonna tell you when the people first named that fish, they put an L in there for a reason because it is salmon.
I do think no. Well, actually, no, I don't. I think that the people who came. Because it's got to be like a Latin thing, right? Like it's like a weird Latin thing.
I don't know. I bet they ain't got no They ain't got no silent L's in Latin.
They may not have no salmon either.
No,
Nobody
they
even
don't
speaks
salmon.
Latin
They ain't got no.
anymore.
They ain't got no dog this hunt. They ain't got no salmon
Salmon
over
can't
there.
go down there.
No,
They ain't got
they
no
don't swim
L's.
that far.
Anyway,
They try to swim upriver.
so yeah, the Mandela effect.
That was stupid. I mean,
It's-
that yeah.
It pisses you off.
Yeah,
Go ahead and say it.
There's no
A
way.
little bit.
Most of that's right.
And so here's to end it. Here's the theories, right? So a lot of it gets as wild as you want it to go, but the prevailing theories is scientists are saying that people are making it up because that's what they want it to be. And it's like this psychological thing that we all do as this collective mind and all this weird stuff, right? That's what scientists say that is happening. But then everybody, else who remembers these things a certain way, obviously their first reaction is, well, they're just doing this to mess with us, right? And then but then other scientists say that it's possible that we have jumped into parallel dimensions where things are just a little different.
I reckon what Parallel Craig's doing right now. You think he's on a podcast today? I bet he's not. If he's smart, he's probably.
I wonder what
Got way out there.
Boy, that was a funny
Parallel
line
Craig.
here. Parallel Craig. Would his name be Craig? If you could have another
don't
name,
know.
what would you name?
He's probably just got one G in his name. He ain't near as cool.
Well, see, people would remember it with two at that point. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
I ain't gonna lie. In my phone, it's got one G. I got to change it to the two G's.
But it wraps back around. I forgot what episode we was on. One of the earlier ones. It was just us here. It's like the moon landing. We've talked about that on one.
We actually need to go into that more.
On the
because-
first or second episode. I mean, there is absolutely no way. I seen a video of it the other day, and that's what they were saying. They were basically making the same argument we had. Maybe been a TikTok video. I can't remember what it was, but the guy was on there, and he was basically just bit by bit going through, hey, this is the space shuttle they had. This is communications they had, and just going through everything. And for them to pick up a dang Sears and Roebuck rotary phone and handset and sit there and have a normal conversation is like,
no way.
yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
way.
No,
That thing they land the rover, whatever they land on Mars with, it looks like they put aluminum foil around the legs and stuff. I mean, there's no
I
way
lost
that
service a mile down the road from us right now. You're gonna tell me that they can, if they can't get service in Van Vliet, Mississippi, you can get a daggum cell service all the way to the freaking moon.
No.
Hey, I did hear something cool. Go back to the storms real quick. On Rob Hunt was on there the other night.
Uh-huh.
I think it was him. He did refer to the Gulf of America.
I did.
He
I heard him say that.
He did refer
I was
to
like,
it as
look
the
at
Gulf of
Live
America.
right
And I said,
there.
heck yeah, I like old Live
America. That's
America.
what I'm talking about. He did say Gulf of America. I forgot all about that. But anyway, that was the theory, is that it's like the CERN stuff that they're doing at CERN. Like, they say that they're opening portals or whatever, and they're saying that we're jumping dimensions because of what's happening at CERN. I don't know.
No.
I just know that Dadgum Jiffy was a peanut butter brand. I know the Dadgum guy from Monopoly had a monocle, and that the mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all, was what she said.
Me and Will jumped dimensions. We don't think we even told this story to anybody. We jumped dimensions at the gin show when we were packing up. Everybody left me and Will. So we was left there packing everything up. We
sure
finally
did.
found an elevator over there. And I don't think it was the elevators that went down to where we were supposed to put stuff in the truck. I don't think we got on the same one twice. I don't think we realized there was that many elevators on that same side. And we couldn't figure out what floor. I'd say, what floor we're on, Will? We'd mash the button because I'm sitting back in the very back with this table full of stuff pushed in the corner.
The first
And there
time,
was some old man got on there with us. He was bound determined. It's like, there's no room in here. He was bound determined he was coming in there. And I'm sitting over here. He's pressing me against the wall. We hit this button. We go up this floor. The door opens. Will's like, no, this ain't it. So we went up and down about 3 times before we found him. We was in like different dimensions that day for sure.
I may have to cut this out, but Craig said, I about knocked that old blue-haired bitch out if he pressed upon me one more time.
He had me pushed over in that corner. I was like, man, just wait. Well, the thing will be right back. 5 minutes. And he's like, he was coming up on there. He got on there with us.
Hey, boy. And then the first elevator we got on was one of them, freight elevators. And Craig just walks up in there like a boss, gets on the freight elevator, closes the daggum
Oh,
bay
it's funny.
door.
Hey, it was. I bet you could put a skid steer in it. It was big as this room.
I
I don't, think
looked
we,
at
I don't
Craig.
think we were supposed to be on it.
I said,
I'm
I don't
sure
know if
you
we're
weren't.
supposed to be
It's
on
one of
this
those
one,
you had to do
Craig.
the chain, and the chain come down.
It had a daggum alarm that went off when the door closed. Yeah. And heck, one floor we stop on, there's somebody with a daggum forklift trying to get on there, looking at us like, who the heck are
Yeah,
y'all?
where'd y'all come from?
Yeah, that was funny. The
We was
elevator
lost.
thing.
We finally got out of there though, but we know where to go next time around.
Yeah, parallel Craig. Anyway,
Is the breakfast story worth telling? That was so odd.
oh yeah, you got to tell that one. This was at the gin show.
Yeah.
So I'll start and I'll tell my side of the story and what I approached on when I
Well,
came.
the backstory is that morning you got up. I think I was getting in the shower and you went downstairs. You said you want anything to drink. I said bring me a Pepsi back. So you brought me a full 20-ounce Pepsi. Wherever you got them from, you brought 2 of them. So
I did.
we proceeded to get dressed. We was gonna meet downstairs. I think what Gin Show was the I guess the floor they started letting people in or whatever. 9?
Mm-hmm.
So we was gonna eat breakfast at like 8:00. So somewhere around that time. So I'm thinking I'm fixing to get dressed. I'm gonna carry my Pepsi down there because we was just walking straight across the street to the convention hall. And I was just gonna carry my Pepsi with me that morning. So we get to the little buffet in the hotel lobby down there, and we're sitting there and waiting on the guy to come get our order or whatever. And at a buffet, and Will said, he said, I'm finna go ahead and fix me a plate. I said, all right. I said, what do you want to drink? I said, I'll hang here and wait till he comes around. He said, I want orange juice. I said, got you. So I hit to sit there, and Will, about no sooner than he walked off, the little guy, he came walking up. He said he was a foreign guy, and me and him probably didn't speak the same language, but he said, what can I get you? Basically, what can I get you to drink? And I said, I want a Pepsi and an orange juice. All right. So I got this Pepsi bottle in the middle of the table thinking, it's no issue. He said, you want another Pepsi? I said, yeah, I brought this one. He said, okay. So I'm thinking we're all square. So I walk off. I go get my plate. Well, by that time, Will's coming back. When Will gets back, and he is asking Will, I guess, at that point, what you want to drink, and you told him,
Yeah,
I want orange juice.
I want orange juice.
So I guess that cat thought I was ordering an orange juice and a Pepsi. So I get back with my plate, and I look up. There's 2 glasses of orange juice. Will's got one. I've got one. I've got a glass and a coffee mug, and my Pepsi sitting there. And he looks at me, and he says, you want Pepsi in glass? I was like, yeah. I want Pepsi in a glass.
Yeah.
He reaches, no fooling. He reaches to the center of the table, grabs my Pepsi that I brought, spins the top off of it, pours it in this empty glass with no ice in it. And I'm sitting there thinking the whole time, I said, either Will has put him up to this, and there's a cat over here beside us to the table, and he's getting tickled. I said, he's either put me up to this or the cat's messing with me once. So he pours that glass full of Pepsi, and I turned to Will, and I was like, man, what in the hell just happened? Well, he walks behind me.
I'm trying to not die out loud.
He walks behind me. He said, can I get you anything else? And I'm just like flabbergasted. I'm like,
He said, I'll take
yeah,
it.
I'll take a glass of ice, I guess. And I...
Keyword, a glass of ice.
I will... God's honest truth, he comes back and he brings me a coffee mug. Why he got it in a coffee mug? He brought me a little coffee mug full of ice. So
That's when I lost
I'm sitting there with a half a bottle of Pepsi, a full glass of Pepsi with no ice in it, pouring that into a coffee mug with ice in it. There's people just looking at me like, kind of country hillbilly junk is this? The country has come to town. And the
Five cups in front of you.
Yeah, the only people that knew it was me and Will and the guy beside me over there.
I said when he walked up, I said, you got enough glass?
And I did catch several that was out of hearing range from us. I'm sitting there, they'd see me with that bottle. I'd take the cup and I'd pour it into the coffee cup, and I was sitting there drinking it Pepsi.
Craig's
They
over-
just looking at me like.
At
what
one
in
point,
the-
Craig's over here holding it like this because the sun going. He thought it was fishing, trying to put coffee.
Oh yeah,
in it.
that's the end part. He come around with a coffee pot, and I swear, if somebody hadn't called him off to the side, he was walking around. He seen my coffee mug, and he seen me drinking. I guess he'd forgot I was drinking Pepsi out of it, and he bought me actual ice. He was walking around. He was fixing to pour coffee into my Pepsi. If he'd have done that, I was leaving.
When that son of a gun opened that Pepsi, I just looked at you. I had one of these faces. I was like,
So needless to say, my plan of carrying the Pepsi across to the convention
That
hall.
was bad.
and how long it took him to pour that Pepsi. I don't know if it was because I was trying not to
I
laugh,
felt like though.
but I was sitting there just holding the same bite right in front of my face, just looking at it.
Oh, this is probably not going to be funny to anybody but us.
Boy,
It was. I really felt like I don't know.
It seemed
I
like
felt
it
like
took
when
him
he
3
asked me, "You
minutes
want
to pour
Pepsi
that.
in a glass?" and I said, "Yeah, Pepsi in a glass." And I felt like I was saying, "Yeah, pour it in that glass for me, boy." But I wasn't. I was thinking he was
that's
going to
what
get
made me. That's what made me laugh.
It's sort of like I said,
As
"Hey,
you look,
pour it in that glass
it
for me,
made
boy."
Craig look like the dude that was making him pour his
Yeah.
bottled Coke in.
And I wasn't. I thought he was asking
Bougie.
me Pepsi in a glass. I'm like, I bet that's the first time he's ever poured somebody's personal Pepsi in a glass for him.
He probably went back to the kitchen cussing you. That's something.
Like he was doing a wine tasting.
Yeah.
Pass it up by
I
ya.
like to. I'm fancy. Like I like to have my Pepsi poured for me.
That crazy.
Oh, so needless to say, that was the highlight of the breakfast.
Man.